I'd like to show you a couple of quick shortcuts for when you're working with simple trigonometric ratio questions. But it's just based on what I'm going to do here. This first question, x on 3 equals 5, we know we've got to multiply both sides by 3 in order to get x by itself. So if I multiply both sides by 3, then the divided by 3 and the multiplied by 3 will just cancel each other, and I'll get x on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, I'll get 3 times 5. So x is 15 there, but the important thing is that I've multiplied whatever this number is, I've multiplied it by whatever was on the right-hand side. I'll come back to that in a minute. Over here, we got y on 4 equals 20. Now, some people would start by flipping, all right? So 4 on y equals 20 is what I meant to say before. And if I flip it, then y on 4 equals 1 on 20. You can only do that if it's a fraction equals a fraction. Now, the next thing I want to do is multiply both sides by 4, of course, to get y by itself. So if I times this by 4, the 4 that's timesing it and dividing it cancel each other, and I just get y. And this, if I times it by 4, I end up with 4 over 20. And the answer is 0.2, but that doesn't worry me so much. What I'm noticing is that I get 4 divided by 20. So over here, with x is on top of the fraction, then I end up multiplying by whatever's on the right-hand side there. And if the pronumeral's on the bottom of the fraction, then I end up dividing by whatever's on the right-hand side. Hence the rule, if x is on top, you times, and if x is on the bottom, you divide by the trig ratio. I'll just write that down. If x is on top, you times by the trig ratio. And if x is on the bottom, you divide by the trig ratio. Right. So that means I can quickly answer these questions. First I look, is x on the top or the bottom? And it's on the top. So I'm going to multiply by the trig ratio. So straight to the answer, x is 5 times sine 30. I multiply by the trig ratio. Multiply what by the trig ratio? Well, whatever the other number was. In this case, it's 5. In this case, it'll be root 12. Just multiply by the trig ratio. So the trig ratio comes last in the number settings here. Okay, if I put that in the calculator, 5 times sine 30, I'll get 2.5. Ask yourself, is the pronumeral on the top or is it on the bottom of the fraction? If it's on the bottom, you divide. Okay, so the answer will be that y is equal to root 12 divided by the trig ratio. You put that into your calculator, root 12 divided by whatever tan 30 is, okay? And that will probably give you something like 6. You don't have to use shortcuts. It's always good to understand what you're doing with equation solving. But if you do enough of these, you'll get to the point where you're just solving for either x or the pronumeral being on the top or the bottom of a fraction equaling to a trig ratio. If x is on the top, you times by the trig ratio. If x is on the bottom, you divide by the trig ratio.